tofu. If you're scared of tofu, I encourage you to keep trying it because it can be very weird, but once you learn how to cook it some different ways, it's really very delicious. It's full of good nutrition, it's great protein, and full of lots of minerals and things that are good for you. And soy protein can be very healthy for you. You just want to be careful of the soy you get. So I like to get the organic, extra firm, and this is water packed. See how it's gushy? There's water in this package here. You can buy it in containers that are shelf stable, but that tofu will not work for this recipe. So for this baked tofu, you have to get the water packed. Now you can buy baked tofu now, which is really nice and convenient, and it comes in different flavors and it's ready just to cut up and throw in your stir fry, and I like that. But I really like the homemade baked tofu even better. So I will share the recipe with you at some point, either during this video or after. I'll make another separate post of it. We'll see. I'm still learning how to post these things. But there's two options on there. One, you can use soy sauce, but I'm going to do the second option with some chicken style seasoning. And so you can see how that is. The soy sauce is explanatory and very easy. You could also do any seasoning you want. If you have a rub that you like, or barbecue seasonings, or whatever you like, you could put it on tofu. It's pretty bland. So it'll absorb and taste like whatever you end up putting on it. So we just opened it up. I rinsed it in, or dumped it in the sink. I like to rinse it off just under the faucet. And then I cube it. Now you can do it into whatever shapes for whatever you're making. We like to cube it and throw it in stir fries or in pasta. Frankly, I have to do twice as much when my kids are around, because when I pull it out of the oven, they start eating it before I can even get it into the recipe, whatever we're making. So I'm just cutting some lines here and making these little squares. All right, we're gonna put them in our bowl. Now the directions that I'm gonna give you talk about pressing tofu. You can wrap it in a kitchen towel and press it so that the hot pot and pan, you can even buy tofu presses that will do that, which I actually have one I can show you. You put the tofu in the middle here and you tighten the screws down, and it just slowly squeezes. You got to tighten just every now and then a little bit, and it slowly squeezes that water out. That will make your tofu even a little bit more dense. But when you're baking it, you're pulling the water out anyhow, so a lot of times I'm in a hurry and I just don't do that. So for this recipe that we're doing, I'm using a chicken McKay seasoning, which is just a vegetarian chicken seasoning. You could use chicken or beef seasoning. There's lots of vegetarian ones on the market, or you can use your regular one. You would want to use equivalent. I'm using a tablespoon, which is what I would put in 1 cup of water to make a chicken broth. So however much yours calls for to put in a cup of water, that's how much you'd want to use. And it doesn't matter if it's a little heaping, because like I say, the tofu is really bland. So we sprinkle that on, and I use something else. It's called nutritional yeast flakes, and I love it because it's full of B vitamins. It's one natural source actually that can have some vitamin B12 in it too, which is great for vegetarians because we sometimes don't get enough vitamin B12. So I sprinkle a tablespoon of the chicken seasoning and a tablespoon of the yeast flakes on there, and then you can just do whatever you want to mix it. You can swirl the bowl around. I like to put my hands in and kind of tip the bowl a little bit. You can use a spoon if you want, however you prefer to cook in the kitchen. You want to be kind of gentle with it because it'll break up into pieces if you are not careful. So I try to let gravity do most of the work. So it looks like it's coated pretty good. I put some parchment paper on this cookie sheet here. And just spread it out there. Try to separate them so the air can get to the different little squares. And then you pop it in the oven at 350 for 20 to 30 minutes. It's going to depend on your oven how long it's going to take, and also the consistency that you want in it. So we have that ready to go. Nice little squares. And we'll just let that cook up. We'll get back to you in a minute. Okay, I'm back. It's time to pull out the tofu and see what it looks like. All right, can you see that? It's a little bit browned. I like it to get a little bit crispy. Some is browner than others. You can see it's still kind of squishy, but much firmer, you know, it doesn't drip juice like it did before. Now as tofu cools after it's been baked, it will actually get firmer. So if you don't eat this and you put it in the refrigerator and you pull it out tomorrow to eat it, it's gonna be a lot firmer than it is even now. I like to do batches of it too and put it in bags and freeze it so that when I'm ready for stir fry or something, I can just pull it out and it's super easy. There was one thing that I have on the recipe that I didn't do in the demo that I realized, and it depends on how salty. If you're watching salt, don't do it. But if you want just a little more flavor, once I have it spread out on the sheet, I usually sprinkle just a tiny bit of salt over the top of it just to give it a little more of that. Or you could put extra of your chicken or beef or whatever seasoning. So I'm gonna see if this recipe will focus here, and I can try to do a still shot of it, but I'm not sure. It might be backwards. It's kind of looking backwards to me. So we'll check that out. If it doesn't work, then I will take this and I will just enter it as a photo document on there so that you can see it. If you have any questions about tofu, ask me. I love it. It's a great source of protein, especially for vegetarians. It's great to throw in things. You can put it on salad. You can dice it up and put it into lettuce wraps. You can crumble it and put Mexican seasonings and bake it and make it into a burger, a vegetarian burger. There's just so many different things you can do with it. Throw it in soup. So I hope you've enjoyed this.